for his stupid tariff threats, but also Trump's making stupid tariff threats constantly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to justify that, right? And I'm not trying to justify that. It was funny because Kane pointed out that actually that was exactly what Trump is doing. When I stated something else. It's like, you know, about the trading partnership with America, and he's like, yeah, and Trump's rooting it. It's like, yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. Is that we would be stupid not to be very friendly with each other with how integrated we are. To walk this back would be a massive loss for both sides. Thanks, Kane, for the shout out as well, and thanks everybody who liked the stream and subscribed. We appreciate it. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, I agree with basically everything Kane was saying too. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I was kind of I was doing stuff while I was doing it, but I'm like listening and getting all angry because I'm like, it's so stupid. Like this whole thing is so dumb. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, does Trump not have people around him who are telling him, hey, what is the point of this? Why are we doing this? Like it's like just an ego
I think
thing,
to them
like,
I honestly think it's a bluff at this point, and it's becoming more and more obvious. Like the 30-day pause, once that came into effect, I'm like, okay, let's see what really happens now. I was kind of surprised to see the aluminum and steel thing, but then I was like, okay, this is what he's doing. So he came in hot and heavy, probably realized, you know, whether or not it was a dumb idea, whatever you want to say. I think it was literally the dumbest trade war ever. So I think it was a dumb move on his part. In term, I guess, depending on, like, we'll see what he gets out of it. I don't know if it's dumb or just greasy, I guess you could say. But besides the point,
I just feel like there's a better way to get the same thing,
yeah, you can say that, but like, you know, this is Trump, right? It's Trump. I think it was my father-in-law who actually called it first, saying that he's going to kind of like, he described that Trump has basically been the same since the Apprentice days, and that this version of Trump that our generation is getting to know, he's known for a while, and he's not surprised by anything he's doing. You know what I mean? And he's not even about the whole tariff thing. He wasn't surprised. He called it. He said, just watch what happens. He's going to come in with tariffs again, because he did it in the first term with the Canada.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
you know?
Well, no, I think the only thing that I like is surprising is just how it's not all an act. Like maybe he really is just that dumb. You know, it's scary.
I don't know. Maybe he just
can get elected.
That's the thing. Is like, I don't know if he's playing just some crazy mind games or he's just crazy. I can't tell.
I don't even know. I think he's like senile or something. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why anybody, like, what do you gain from this that you couldn't gain from something that would be like way less harmful to yourself? Yeah. You know, you want to have a good trade relation with Canada. That's a good idea. You want to do it through threatening to tariff them, or like with no real, like, I don't know. It's just so dumb. Doesn't make any sense.
Anyways,
it's like Jugmeat saying, I can't get inside of that guy's head. I don't know why he does the things he does. Dude, it's a mystery.
Just reminds me of that bit in Corner Gas where like Wanda gets in Hank's, she's like, I'm gonna get inside Hank's head, and she goes in there and just a blank white space. I'm like, that's Jagmeet Singh's internal thoughts.
A blank white space, yeah.
Anyways, we're going to get into this. Michelle Rempel posted a video. I thought it would be worth watching because this is something I thought was interesting. And I also thought it would be good to kind of point out. Media, eh? Yeah, she is. She's got a podcast now, too. She's done like 5 episodes. I don't know if we can play it. I don't know if I think she monetizes that because it's like her personal. It's more about like a personal podcast, I guess. Like, I don't know. I started listening to it. I was like, what is this? And I like turned it off. I was like, this isn't my cup of tea. And I'm not going to listen to an hour of her talking. But I thought it'd be kind of interesting to point out their kind of political games, I guess you could say. I feel like that's what these videos kind of are. And I feel like when she goes, this one is called Carney. Why is an unelected man, you see how she makes sure that they're leaning into that, getting secret briefings while Parliament is shuttered? So I thought this would be interesting to watch and see what she has to say. We're definitely going to get the, hey, subscribe to my Substack thing that we'll skip past at the beginning because I just want to see what she has to say. She is basically we
can shout out her. Let her shout out her Substack. I mean,
she's a conservative politician. I don't think this YouTube channel is monetized at all. I think mainly so far the only thing I've come across of hers that is monetized, from what I understand, is her now podcast, I'm guessing. But we'll see. I think what she's so just keep in mind what she's doing for her job or career or just to communicate with the people. I think she's got good intentions. Don't get me wrong. I think she does look at herself as having a responsibility to let people know what's going on. However, I do feel like she's going to be biased, right? Like she's on the like the opposite side of the political aisle to the current sitting government. So we're going to be expecting some harsh criticisms. But anyways, just a heads up for those who are more left leaning and liberal that this is a conservative, and you can take your opinion with a grain of salt if you don't agree. I think we should just try and separate the fact from the opinion and take what we can from it. Anyways, if you haven't already, we're going to like the video. We are subscribed to Michelle Rempel Garner's YouTube channel. We'll press play now.
Many of you have written to me either in comments or to my constituency office or on Twitter. Many of you have asked this week a question that, frankly, I'm not even sure I have the answer to, but I want to break it down for you because this is an issue that has not gotten a lot of mainstream media attention, but it's an important one. And that is that there is an unelected liberal man who is apparently getting secret briefings.
See, they're leaning into the liberal unelected man, right? Not just liberal man, this man of this very pro gender equality party, right? That's what they're trying to emphasize here, I guess.
From cabinet ministers while Parliament is prorogued. And that, of course, that unelected man is Mark Carney. I'm going to break this issue down for you, what I know, what my concerns are, what I'm kind of hearing, and why I think this is happening. Before I do that, though, you guys know that Parliament's prorogued, so the Liberals don't want my voice to be out there. They don't want me telling you what I'm hearing, what's happening, raising my concerns. The Liberals have Bill C-18, C-11. These are censorship bills, which provide news bans in Canada. I am trying to communicate with you through all of these Liberal blockages. And the way that you can help me do that is to click on the link that's in the comments. Every week I'm doing a wrap-up podcast on what I'm hearing while Parliament's prorogued. I'm also writing articles to you. And when you click subscribe...
Yeah, like I tried listening to that podcast, and the first 10 she was just like, it was just small talk for the first 10 minutes, and I was just like, what is this? And I turned it off. It's just I couldn't handle it.
The link that's in the comments. Not as news focused.
Yeah, I'm just saying it sounds like it's a little more, it's very personable, I guess you could say. So some people might like it, right? Like you might like it if you like her. If you like her character, if you like her posturing in the House of Commons, you're probably gonna like her podcast. It's just not for me.
On YouTube, it'll be in the video description. It allows me to get through these censorship bills, Parliament prorogation, liberal bias in broadcasters like the CBC, and even algorithmic bias in some of these platforms. And if you click subscribe on that, it's free. It allows me to directly communicate with you, and that is so important right now. So please, I'm trying to take the time to communicate with you so you can help me get these words out. Please click subscribe. It is free, and it allows me to directly communicate with you. Okay, so Mark Carney getting briefings. So last week, in the middle of the American trade tariff threat, Mark Carney, who is sort of being coronated to be the Liberal leader, he made a comment that he was getting briefed by Liberal cabinet ministers on this issue. Now, to take a step back and reemphasize, Mark Carney is not elected. He's not a parliamentarian. He's never held elected office. He's never put his name on a ballot. I don't even think he's knocked a door of a normal person in Canada. So this is not somebody who holds office. However, the Liberal leadership race is going to select the next Prime Minister of Canada. It's this very strange thing that a completely unelected man could become Prime Minister of Canada, but that doesn't afford him the right to have secret meetings with or briefings with Liberal cabinet ministers. So he came out and he bragged about this on national news. And that sort of raised a lot of alarm bells for people, and rightly so, because first of all, he's unelected, so he wouldn't have gone through secret clearance. The second thing is that he has a lot of, you know, we don't know what some of his conflicts.
To be fair, though, if he was the governor of the Bank of Canada at some point, he would have had some level of security clearance at some point, I assume, wouldn't you? Like they're basically a politician in that position.
No, not if you're not getting told confidential information. You only have to get the security clearance when you're seeing stuff like that.
Interests might be. He's held senior board appointments on a lot of really big multi-billion-dollar companies. We don't know what his compensation package looked at. So he hasn't gone through the traditional ethics screening route that somebody like me, a member of Parliament, would have to go through, right? He's also not subject, well, we don't know this. He might be, we don't know, to some of the accountability mechanisms that public office holders are supposed to be accountable to. At the same time, though, for the last 5 years, he's been advising the Liberal Party in senior capacities. In 2020, he was named as Justin Trudeau and the Liberals' COVID-19 advisory committee something. Then he was a senior economic advisor. Last fall, he was announced that he was essentially going to be coming up with the Liberals' economic fiscal policies. So you have this unelected man that has all of these super big connections to these big companies who's saying that he's getting briefings from cabinet ministers on the trade issue. Now, at the same time, the Liberals have done what? They've locked me out of Parliament. So I've gone through elections. I've gained pluralities, majority pluralities in my riding, and I can't go into Parliament to raise questions in parliamentary committees. I don't know what's going on. I can't, they have completely shut me out. And so by virtue of shutting me out, they've shut 120,000 people. And think about how many people that is. Like, if you've ever been to a hockey game or a football game, think about how many people that facility holds and then multiply it to get to 120,000 people. That's how many people that Justin Trudeau has silenced by shutting me out of Parliament, right? And all of my colleagues. But yet somehow...
And this is what I'm saying too, right? This is my argument with, and this is why what Trudeau is doing is looked so poorly upon by a lot of people, because it's like you're proroguing during a pretty crucial time where the voice of Parliament should be there, right? And the fact that you've literally just silenced them, like, this is probably one of the most dictatorial things he's done, in my opinion.
I don't know, one of the most authoritative. It's just really
to a degree. And like, who does he have to answer to? The Governor General signed off on his prorogation. Pretty much nobody.
He was an elected leader, though. He's within his rights.
But like at this point, Harper was, right? they were elected by a minority. So you have a minority of the country currently holding the rest of the country under their grip.
Yeah,
and letting them steer
because the NDP voters, they voted for Jagmeet knowing that in this circumstance he would have propped up the Liberals, right?
Still, it's just ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't approve of what he's doing at all, but I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it's dictatorial. It's just like really stupid.
It's incredibly authoritative, in my opinion, to prorogue during a crisis. So when the other voice, when Team Canada,
public, he's a bad leader.
When Team Canada should have the first approach here, the Team Canada approach, you're telling Team Canada to shut up, basically, and you're just letting Team Liberal handle it all.
Maybe I guess. That's kind of how I don't really see it quite that, because he is working with the premiers and stuff. But I mean, it wasn't he in Paris the other day? Yeah,
he was literally, handshaking with Macron.
What are you doing?
People are making such jokes about him and Macron, and they're like, I think it was someone put out a tweet saying, "Tell me these two aren't dating." I was just like, what?
He's very unaware of the optics of things. Like, I feel like he's unable to look at himself from an outside perspective.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes how hated he is. Just like how angry in this prorogation. I think it's just
starting to sink in at this
adding
point.
Gasoline to that fire.
Carney is getting, and bragging about it, getting briefings from cabinet ministers. So some of you have said, like, well, what do you think about this? Well, obviously that's ridiculous. It's crazy. There was a column that was written in the National Post about this week.
Yeah, but I saw the Macron kiss. It was a Euro thing. It wasn't like their boyfriend and boyfriend. Okay, guys, chill out.
Like, mainstream media is just crickets on this. In fact, there was a Rosemary Barton on the CBC had a panel where she was kind of repeating Liberal talking points, saying like, well, we don't really need Parliament, right? So, folks, this is wrong. The long and the short of it is, for those of you who have written me, I know about this, and it is wrong. And it's also wrong that the public doesn't have a bigger understanding of what's happening here, right? You've got an unelected man.
I don't think the public has a very good understanding of what's going on right now.
Yeah, everyone seems like too chill about it. Like, you ask the average day person about the prorogation, they're like, oh, like they don't really understand what that fully means. They just think there's no question period for a few months. You know what I mean? Like, they just...
I was trying to tell my wife a story about something happening, and like, she still doesn't know. If you just said his name, she doesn't know offhand who Pierre Poilievre is, and she has me around her all the time talking about this stuff. Most people aren't this concerned about it. They have other stuff going on. it's Canadian politics is kind of hard to follow. Like it's at least harder than it is in the States. I feel like in the States it's unavoidable, but here, like you almost have to be in a certain media sphere to even be seeing this stuff on your feeds or whatever.
I guess, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Gone through ethics screenings, who has major board appointments and compensation packages and stuff from, or has had them in the past. I don't know, from these big companies. He's been advising the Liberal government for years. A lot of the Liberals' policies have been his. He's about to become Prime Minister without being elected, and Parliament is shuttered. So what does that sound like to you? Does it sound like a democracy? Of course it doesn't. So folks, what I want to say to you is this. You know, when you watch or when you think about
exactly Taylor Swift and sports are more
a country facing a really serious crisis or facing like, you know, sort of some big apocalyptic moment, you often think about like these Hollywood blockbusters where aliens come in and do something, right? But this is a slow boil situation where our country is being eroded from the inside, drip by drip by drip by drip. And you've got national broadcasters normalizing this situation, even through their silence, right? And this is not normal. In a democracy, we shouldn't have an unelected man getting briefings from cabinet ministers when he doesn't have a security clearance. He's been advising the Liberal government on policies while he's held senior board appointments.
If they're giving him classified information without a security clearance, then that's like a crime.
Yeah, I don't know about essentially the fact he's getting classified information, but he's definitely in the circle, right? And he's being around these officials. You know, who's to say for sure he's not? You know, like I feel like he has personal relationships with a lot of these current sitting members behind the scenes. I don't know. To me, you'd have to be stupid to not think. You see it happen plain as day, like in work in companies. I've worked in multiple companies where nepotism is just right in front of you, and it's just so blatant. It's like, oh, that's the CEO's kid. Oh, that person's mom manages the entire place basically, and somehow that person got picked for all the courses that only 2 employees get picked for. You know what I mean? Like it's just like crazy stuff like that, right? Happens all the time. And
well, even the thing we were talking about with Pierre and the security clearance and stuff, and like realistically, what are the chances he doesn't know already what it says? Like,
you're gonna have an idea.
Maybe not. If he's really principled, maybe he would go out of his way to say, "Hey, don't tell me. I'm not going to have you commit a crime just to like give you this
tell me CSIS hasn't briefed some higher up officials in opposite parties, like without like, you know, they've probably found ways to brief them somewhat on the situation and go around. Like, I feel like it probably wouldn't be that hard for them to figure out how to go
if it was a serious security threat, it would be, yeah. Which is why it's stupid on both ends. I think like the whole release the names thing was kind of dumb, and the whole, oh, they don't want to get a security clearance because he doesn't want to know about the corruption in his own party. Like,
you know how wild this is? Like, you basically have our House of Commons, our Parliament, saying there's traitors in Parliament.
It is. It's
like,
ridiculous.
This is like historically crazy. And the fact that Canadians just don't seem that riled up is just Canadians in a nutshell.
Well, you know
like, we are incredibly complacent.
I think that Trudeau has the same thing going for him right now that Trump has, where people are just tired of hearing about it, and everybody's always acting like it's the end of the world and this is the worst thing he's ever done, and it's finally over for him. He's not going to get away with this. And people say these things about both of these guys constantly, you know, and it comes to a point, because I've been in this place where I actually had to go in and check myself which ones of these scandals were actually serious, because for a lot of them, I'd hear stuff from the Conservatives and I'd be like, okay, is it really like the biggest ethics breach ever imaginable? And he's a corrupt dictator now. And it's like, because it's so hyperbolic, it's really hard to take it seriously, even
honestly,
when it is
though, a lot of this stuff is crazy. It is crazy. It is the fact that it's normal is not right. The fact that we're okay with this is just messed up.
150%.
And this is what I'm trying to say. This is what I think Pierre's done a really good job of pointing out. And so far, I have yet to see many steps of him that, from what he said, that have been misleading. There's the quadruple the carbon tax thing that he says. The carbon is going to be quadruple, but technically it's quadrupled from point A to point Z, not from point A to B. You know what I mean? That's where there is some misleading rhetoric there. Don't get me wrong. But when are we okay with this? Since when are we okay with paying over a third of what we make to taxes? Since when are we okay with our government just saying, no, I'm going to prorogue during a national crisis, and we have like probably the most intensive, threatening trade war coming?
I think having high taxes is expected in a place that's going to have like free healthcare and stuff like that. You're going to have high taxes there. It's going to be higher than it is in the States. They don't have healthcare.
Look, I don't know. Like, right? This is probably a BC problem because like BC pays way more taxes than some other provinces. Like our federal taxes are what they are.
And I'm not necessarily
saying be complaining with the federal government has that. But I'm just saying, like, when did we just become okay with a pile of shit to eat? You know what I mean? When did that become okay?
Okay, so. And I mean, I'm going to draw it back to the same thing that I started this conversation on and just say that, like, for both of these things, the stuff that Trump's doing is really crazy and it is really bad. And for a lot of the Trudeau stuff, this is really unprecedented and it is a big deal and you should be paying attention to it. But I feel like it's the rhetoric around it when we're always acting like the sky is falling and we're not really, I feel like there's almost this avoidance of going into details because we're trying to simplify it so people care. And I feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice. This is what I get so mad at Jagmeet Singh about, is because he's so misleading in the way that he talks about things that to me, it's just dishonest. He's just a liar. That's why I said I think he's a bad person. Like, I think that the way he engages with the public is bad faith and it's treating them like they're stupid. And they don't know what's going on because he doesn't think they do. And he doesn't think that they're worth telling the truth to. That's
and I think Trudeau looks at us the same way. And I think that people like that have no place in this political sphere anymore. And Mark Carney is the same thing too. Mark Carney is just the same. He is exactly the same.
He explains things all the time.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He looks down on the average day person, dude. He looks down on them. Like if you read his, like in his book, the like disdain I get for people who want to like just do whatever they want. You know what I mean? This idea of like people who don't want to put the climate before everything. All this kind of stuff that he's very big proponent on. It's like, to me, it's going to be the same crap. But I think he's going to get ripped apart in the debates, anyways. I don't think he has a chance at winning. I think he's going to get ripped apart. Doesn't matter if he's an unelected liberal man. It doesn't matter. He's going to get ripped apart in a debate. Like,
what do you think he's going to rip him apart?
We've already seen him, dude. We should watch some more of the historic footage from the remote House of Commons.
I've seen that. But
dude, every single interaction. No, dude, there was more. There's like 3 or 4 times he was pulled into committee meetings. But I don't think I think that going into this one, he had to have known it was coming by at some point, dude. He just doesn't engage, and it doesn't. He acts like he's better than the debate, right? And that's where the problem is. If he acts that same way in a debate, he's going to lose. Because by acting like you're too good for a debate, you're acting like you're too good for the people.
I agree. And that's what I was saying is I've seen him since he's announced that he's running for Liberal leader. All of the interviews he's done, I haven't seen him shy away from explaining something. I've seen him go out of his way to make it extra dry and like explain exactly what he means. And I appreciate that. And I respect that. And that's part of the reason that I like him is because he's doing that, right? Because I hate when politicians don't explain things, when they just expect people to be on board with something without explaining why you're doing it or why it's important.
Yeah, but I feel like that Mark Carney does have that about him, and that you can argue maybe it'll change. But from what I've seen so far, and his book, just the way he talks about it, I was having dinner with the Pope. It's just like, okay, buddy, like
I know you like to bring up that
because
line.
It was such a pompous and arrogant paragraph. And you know what? One of the key to intelligent writing is simplification. Relating to your reader, relating to people. You know what I mean? In general,
I don't know. I read doesn't seem like he has 3 chapters or something, and I wasn't like I didn't feel like he was talking down to me.
Yeah, but you're kind of similar.
Yeah, but I mean, why would that make me? I don't know. I feel like the attitude would come through in the writing, though.
We're getting too hung up on this.
Sure.
Parliamentary, I can't use parliamentary committees to get to some of the bottom of these issues. So, folks, this is actually one of those scenarios where our democracy is being eroded. And like, if you think this is fine, you are wrong. You are very wrong. So today, I know a lot of you will be getting together with people, maybe you're going to a Super Bowl party or something like this. Respectfully raise this issue.
Yeah, so far from what I've read, Luca, he hasn't said they shouldn't have rights. He said that I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something like they misunderstand their rights or freedom is a misunderstood concept. And, his whole idea of freedom infringing on the rights of others. When I was listening, I was like, this is just taking it to another extent. To me, it just sounds like I don't really say he's like not saying they should have rights, but I think what I get from it is he has this disdain for the average day person, like they're an irresponsible fat ass that needs to be managed and taken care of. And that's how he comes off to me. Same as Noah Yuval Harari. They have this same kind of tone, I guess you could say. Like, don't get me wrong, they're intelligent people.
Harari, I agree.
They're intelligent people.
I think he's a very condescending person.
But I just
don't get that from Carney.
Okay.
With other people. Share this video today. Help me get this word out, because this is not normal. If we accept this situation as normal, we're accepting that our democracy isn't functioning, and we're, sort of accepting somewhere between an autocracy and a kleptocracy.
Oh, Melissa in the chat just gave us a shout out. Can I just say how much I like the format of your show? It's so important to listen to all angles and try to understand each other better. Thanks, Melissa. That's what we try to do, despite how much we just argue. I feel like we're just like,
we're brothers at the end of the day. So there's a little bit of I literally just cut him off to say that. We can't help it sometimes.
And he didn't say he likes Marxism. He just speaks in a way that speaks in favor of Karl Marx. However, I got to finish the book before I can comment further on that. I've only read the first, or listened to the first 5 chapters of his audiobook narrated by him.
I think he definitely hasn't made the book for conservatives to read it and get anything from it, because there's so many words in there that trigger people that they're like, oh, like he's bringing up all the words that make me angry. I'm not saying that's exactly what you're getting at, but you know how we've kind of talked about this.
Yeah, I think that's a little reductive. I think that does happen, but I don't think this is the same thing. That's me when I hear misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation in one sentence.
Yeah.
I get triggered by that word absurdity wall. However, I don't think this is the same thing.
Okay.
The Liberal Party of Canada, just thinking that they have this automatic hegemony of power where they don't have to be accountable to the people. Why is Mark Carney getting secret briefings from Liberal cabinet ministers, and I can't even exercise my rights that have been given to me by the Canadian people as a parliamentarian in parliamentary committees? That's not right. If you're watching this and you do vote Liberal or the NDP, look, it is a democracy. You have a right to do that. But if there's one thing you and I should side on, it's that this situation that's happening is wrong. It is fundamentally wrong. And the fact that it's not getting more attention is also wrong. So folks, we're at this period of time where the Liberals are doing everything that they can to silence voices like mine. They really are. They're taking away any tools that I have to get messages like this out. And so this is why I ask you, the number one thing that you can do to help me and help others who are fighting this fight is to share this video, subscribe to this content. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And as I said, there's a link in the comments that allows you to directly subscribe to my Substack, and that allows me to get this into your inbox for free. I'm not going to spam you, but we know that the Liberals have put everything in place to downgrade content like this, right? They actually have put in place bills to censor news on social media platforms. They've shut down Parliament. And, I'm not going to give up this fight because I believe in Canada. I do. I believe in the people of this country. But folks, what's happening now is really bad. This is not normal. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. How does he get briefings from cabinet ministers and I can't even go to a parliamentary committee to ask basic questions about the state of the nation's finances? I'll just close with this. The Liberals, there's something called the public accounts, okay? And this is if you can imagine a balance sheet for an accounting of everything that somebody spent over a year. The public accounts for last year, 2023-2024, was 9 months late. And they didn't table them till the last day of Parliament. There hasn't been any scrutiny on that. And now Parliament is shuttered and they're talking about spending billions of dollars more. It's my job and it's why.
And that's a good point. It's why isn't CBC really talking about this in that light, right? This is what I mean. It's the only person I've heard actually put a spotlight on this and say, what the hell are you doing, is Vatsy Capellos. The only report of everything that we watch on stream and I watch off stream who's been what are you doing? The only mainstream reporter. That's the only one I've seen say anything.
Actually,
everyone else has just even David Cochrane, nothing being said. Nothing. CBC is just nothing to say on this whole thing. And that's what's so crazy. It's
about on the prorogation, you mean?
Well, just in about a sense of the federal spending. If look how much money they're spending. I feel like CBC likes to have a good relationship with the Liberals because then they get inside scoops on things. And I feel like they do things that make them that put them in a favorable light. That's all I'm saying.
It's possible, yeah. I guess. I don't know.
To scrutinize.
I think a lot of people just feel like there's no point in even asking because it's just
Northwest Coast is saying he hears it mentioned on CBC often. Okay, if you have if you're in the Discord Northwest Coast and you've got some of those links, please send them on over. I would love to see those.
To ask questions, and these guys have just shut off that ability overnight, and now they're unelected, coronated liberal leadership candidate. Like, guys, like he's getting secret briefings from cabinet.
You know, I saw something.
No security.
Sorry
clearance.
to interrupt. This is the last time.
There's like 20 seconds left, but we can just
we'll
finish
let it finish then. Yeah,
it's brutal. So share this video. Talk to people about this. Let them understand that you don't think it's normal. And then hopefully we can, you know, get Parliament reopened. That's what I'm fighting for. And